Hello, my name is John, and I want to talk to you about suicide in our culture and our times today. This video is not medical advice or expertise. I am not a psychologist or psychiatric professional. I wrote a book, however, about our mental challenges called You Will Prevail: Why Your Life Matters. If people do need psychiatric help, seek therapy, and many resources available to you in the county, city, and state in which you live. Reach out to a friend, family member, teacher, coworker, because the point of my book is to let people know that your life matters because there is only one unique, beautiful you, and that prevailing in our mental challenges is all about the persuasion of our mind to not give up, but to continue on another day. References for this video are, I'll either hold up the book or the reference, and I'll either talk about it throughout the video or at the end of the video. For my mental health book, there is a very lengthy bibliography and reference notes at the end of that book. So, about suicide in today's culture. There are a lot of statistics, but one thing's for sure, that 6 out of 10 gun deaths, I'm going to pick this up here. This is from February 3rd, 2022, so pretty recent. February 3rd, 2022, from the Pew Research Center. Pretty unbiased, depending on who you talk to or think about things. This is about gun deaths, firearm deaths. The name of the article is What the Data Says About Gun Deaths by John Gromlich or Gramlich. Again, Pew Research Center, February 3rd, 2022. Out of all these gun deaths, over half, 54%, or 6 out of 10 gun deaths come from suicide. Not mass shootings, not gang violence. It is suicide by firearm. Now, then in 2021, gun deaths by suicide rose 8% from 2020. In 2020, it was 45,222. In 2021, it was 48,830. Again, that's 54% of suicides is from firearms, not from school shootings, not from active shooter incidences or things like that. Whether it's in a school, a library, or a place that has a no gun sign. And people like to talk about, this is just the facts here. If you look up what AR-15 means, the AR does not mean assault rifle or automatic rifle. It means Armalite rifle, named after the company in which it was made from by Eugene Stoner around the 1950s. Now, one thing to think about with active shooter instances and suicide by firearm and all of that is that these active shooter instances, like in Nashville, Tennessee, where I live, it's firearms and guns are an inanimate object. Now, we can talk about freedom and the Constitution, but the one thing that people don't talk about a lot is that you can leave a firearm sitting down on a table for centuries, for millennia, and it will never go off if something doesn't encroach or pick up that firearm, because it's an inanimate object. It's not living and breathing. Now, for that firearm to go off and hurt other people, a person has to pick up that firearm. Now, this doesn't excuse, I'm not excusing active shooter incidences or mass shootings and things like that. But that's one thing to consider if people haven't thought about that. Also, according to the FBI and other research centers, active shooter or mass shootings just aren't school shootings or shootings in movie theaters or shootings in malls. It is all shootings where there's one or two more people and there's a lot of fatality or a couple fatality in a area, which could very well mean why that number is inflated a little bit depending on region and where you are in the United States Republic, is because of gang violence. Yeah. So, and this is from the same article, like I was mentioning earlier. And another thing to consider is that when you have these active shooter instances or school shootings, or you have this gang violence and this inanimate object that is a firearm or a gun, or the suicide by firearm, what's the main thing? The main common denominator in all of this, the two main things. Well, first of all, there's guns involved, and guns aren't living, breathing, so they can't shoot themselves. A person has to shoot them. It has to be education about firearm safety. When you take a handgun carry permit, you are told that very, firmly, that it is when you pull out a firearm to defend yourself or for whatever reason, you're telling them that, hey, I'm willing to make the ultimate price to save my life or the people around me. So it's very, very serious to get a handgun carry permit or a carry in the United States Republic under constitutional law. And there's many states, over half of the United States have constitutional law or constitutional carry for their firearms. So it's very, very serious to carry a firearm, and everyone should understand that. And they should have, understand how important it is to carry a firearm and what it means to defend yourself and people around you. But I think, and this is my opinion, this is not in anything that I've read, again, this is my opinion, there is a miseducation of what the seriousness of a firearm is. And young people, like what happened in Nashville or in other places, don't think that it's that serious, or they don't understand that picking up a firearm or driving a car or pharmaceutical drugs is serious. It is serious. And I think that there's not an intense look at why these things are happening psychologically. Now, this is where we get into the psychological things. I'm not a psychiatric professional, but hear me out. So, this is from the CDC in 2019, I believe. Yeah, 2019, 2017. Yeah, sorry, 2017. My bad. 2017. Out of the top 10 leading causes of death, 2017. And 2019, sorry. Top 10, whether it's top 9 or top 10, suicide. And it's not about firearms, like number 2 or number 4. It's suicide is number 10 or number 9. And it's usually within the medium range, younger people, intentional or unintentional. The top 5 things that take people's lives in the United States are diseases. Different kinds of diseases, heart disease, Alzheimer's, all kinds of different things. It's suicide. And with suicide, 6 out of 10 of those suicides are 54% firearm related. In the suicide handbook or statistics from 2019 from the World Health Organization, it talks about that firearms are the number one cause by suicide in the world. Depending on your region, it could be a little different. Could be, different countries could have different ways of suicide, but the most common is suicide by firearm. And there's not a look at, they say, oh, we want to take away the guns. We take away the guns, people are still going to want to commit suicide. You take away the guns, people are still going to find a way to kill themselves, whether it's jumping in front of a train, strangling themselves, poisoning, bludgeoning object, falling from a building. This is a serious video. And I'm just saying, like, just because you take away the guns doesn't mean the suicides are going to stop. The 6 out of 10 gun deaths doesn't mean they're going to stop if you take away the guns. If people are still going to commit suicide, they're just going to find another way. So how do we connect with people? Oh, get over yourself. You don't need, snap out of it. That's insensitive to say that to someone who's dealing with such a very serious thing as mental challenges. You got to hear people. You got to hear them out. Maybe pharmaceutical drugs aren't the right thing, but you got to let people understand that they're heard. I understand you're going through challenges. Tell me about them. Listen to people. Don't judge them. 2 books by psychiatric professionals that I read and quoted to write my book is This Is How You Overcome Depression. Another book, Why Has Nobody Told Me This, by Dr. Julie Smith. Actually, I'm pretty sure her book, I quoted her in my book, but I'm pretty sure her book came out a couple weeks or months after I wrote my book. But I did read it. But I'm pretty sure that's what that is. But anywho, very good book, easy to read and to understand. It's like a friend is talking to you. And why I like this book, if you're looking for a book, is because there's a lot of pictures. It's very simple, to the point, and gets to the root cause of depression. I love it. A lot of good pictures in there. And you may be asking yourself, why would you talk about these other books? Don't you want to promote your book? No, I want people to be alive. I care about people. The goal of writing my book was not to be globally known. It was to help people with their mental challenges. I just don't want people to think that they're alone. I don't want people to think that they're in this world, that they're in this world alone, because someone does care about them. Someone does want what's best for them, to be alive. And that's very important. Listening, being quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to anger in life is some of the best advice I've ever gotten. Quick to listen, slow to speak. Very great advice. And another great, I think, world-renowned, 2 world-renowned psychologists, because I said I'm not a psychologist, but and a psychotherapist, is this book here, How to Do the Work. This doctor does phenomenal work. Helps you to. It's like going to. Now, again, I am not. If you do need therapy, all of these doctors, all of these psychologists, psychotherapists suggest going to therapy if you need it. But if you want to know more about your brain and why these things are happening psychologically, these books would help you to understand that, to do the work, to manage or to overcome, prevail through your mental challenges. This book here, phenomenal. Her workbook, the best. Just, I don't have no words except brilliant. This is the workbook here, How to Meet Yourself. Amazing. This recently came out, gosh, a few months ago, I think, a couple months ago. I don't know. Very, very colorful. Very colorful. A lot of great things to write in. Basically, it's great. In one book here, I'd like to read something before I close this out. My favorite page in my book, You Will Prevail, Why Your Life Matters, is page 72. Now, for those of you who are not spiritual or godly people, I was wondering, how do you write about trauma? And I asked God, and I needed help writing about trauma because I haven't found any books until after I've published my book, which was kind of interesting, but I think I hit the nail on the head when I wrote this paragraph and I asked God what to write. And it basically sums up a lot of things in this next book I'm going to show you. Page 72, it says at the very bottom of my book here, furthermore, we must deal with our past traumas in a positive and proactive way instead of projecting it onto other relationships and individuals who had nothing to do with that trauma. Now, this book here by Dr. Bezel, I can't pronounce it, Dr. Bezel Vanderkolk, The Body Keeps the Score, about how childhood traumas, things in our life, all sorts of things, our body, sometimes we keep that trauma, that bad thing, that rejection inside of our body, and then it manifests itself in a disease sometimes or bad behavior sometimes. And instead of wondering why are we doing this, treating the disease or the behavior, we don't treat the body. And the body is where the problem is, whether it's mentally or down below physically or anything like that. This is one of the best books about psychology I've ever read. Now, one book, if you're not like spiritual or godly or anything, that I think is very good for people. Yes, if you need to go to therapy, please go. Please go. But one book that I love reading that helps me, amongst these other books I've talked about, is the Bible. One of the most widely read books on the planet, or on the plane here, on this plane here. So thank you for listening, and I want you to know that I care about you, I love you, and if you'd like to check out my book, it is, where is it? God, there's so many books here. Here it is. You Will Prevail, Why Your Life Matters. Available in Kindle, paperback, hardcover, and audiobook. Thank you for listening, and remember that your life matters because there is only one unique, beautiful you.